What's up, y'all? Sparta here. This video kind of turned into a different thing over time. I'm not gonna lie. Initially, it was gonna be a video of me talking about whether or not I like that phone manufacturers are partnering with camera makers to, make a specific camera experience on a phone, right? And it eventually turned into me ragging on auto modes and me talking about the overall feeling that a lot of people think auto modes are supposed to give you, right? In a lot of cases, what people think auto modes are supposed to give you is that it literally takes control of everything. That's what's kind of been, the expectation from Apple and Google and Samsung. And they have their own particular processing for it, right? They process the photos in a particular way to juice them up on your own and all this extra stuff, right? And what a lot of people don't like about, say, a Sony phone is that it doesn't do that. Therefore, they say, oh, the Sony doesn't process the photo, therefore it's bad. And then they write it off. And for me, what is very important here is that we talk about the different ways in which a phone, very much like a camera. This is what is so crazy to me. Very much like a camera. People talk about this same thing on cameras. And talk about Canon processing, Nikon processing, Sony processing. Now they talk about the color science, which in turn is about what? The process, how it processes the photo, right? The color science that a Canon or a Sony has it goes in tandem with the overall processing that it does on the photo. Now, whether or not you have cameras, like people think that cameras don't do sharpening. They do. Like dedicated there are a lot of times, like sure, there are times where it just doesn't. People think that you can't make a camera sharpen in the camera itself, but there are cameras with sharpness sliders. Automatically, it doesn't do it, but in a lot of cases, in what I've experienced with, say, a Canon Rebel T7 is that yes, you will get not necessarily like softer photos, but not soft in a way like a phone camera soft, but in a more pleasing way. It's kind of weird. And what I feel it gives it this sort of like this look to it that's kind of, it's different. And I'll probably end up showing a bit of like when I do my 13 Ultra versus Rebel T7 video, which I've already said is like me comparing shots that I've taken with my Rebel T7. And since I no longer have it, I'm going to attempt to take very similar shots or if I can take an identical shot, I'll take an identical shot. And I'll show you guys the overall progress of where smartphone cameras have become, since this is the bleeding edge of what you can do with a phone camera right now. Dual stage aperture, 1-inch type sensor, through four cameras, 2 telephotos that are 3.2x and 5 and the ultra wide, all 50 megapixel sensors. The 3 companion sensors are the same sensor, the IMX878, I believe. And this is the bleeding edge right now. And then you obviously have Leica. Oh yeah, what? The company that makes expensive ass cameras. Company that makes expensive ass cameras, and they're partnering with a phone manufacturer to make a very nice, in my opinion, a very nice experience. Now, obviously, Leica has partnered with Huawei in the past, and I think they've also partnered with Sharp, but this has been probably the most fruitful partnership that they've done, in my personal opinion. I think people I think people paid far more attention to when they partnered with Xiaomi, especially since Xiaomi, they're going all in. Like the 13 Pro, the 13T, the 13T Pro, all have Leica processing. The Xiaomi Mix Fold 3, Leica processing, and just over like this partnership seems to be going very well. And to me, this is something that I really do like a lot. And I want more, and personally, I do want more manufacturers to try and do these kind of things, like partner with Nikon, partner with Canon, like Olympus. Olympus already does a lot of like very cool software auto mode processing too. So you could do that. And I don't understand why nobody has done that. There were rumors that Samsung was going to partner with Samyang for the glass design for their lenses. There's all these like murmurings and all this other stuff, right? And I do really feel like these are the kind of partnerships that need to happen, because if we're going to take photography, if we're going to take phones on cameras on phones more seriously, we got to look at ways we can do this without just saying, oh, look, you can shoot Dolby Vision on this phone, or you could do this, that, and the third. A lot of the things that most people aren't going to do, even people like me, I'm not going to shoot in Dolby Vision. I turned Dolby Vision off on my 13 Ultra, mainly because LumaFusion doesn't support it. So I just turned it off. But yeah. If more manufacturers can do this, like partner with Kodak, I guess. They tried to make a phone at one point. It's crazy, right? I'm not saying every manufacturer needs to do this, obviously. I do think that a lot of what makes the identity of, say, a Samsung phone or an iPhone is the processing that they do, for better or for worse. But for me personally, as somebody that likes cameras, dedicated cameras, like, who's stopping, say, Motorola from partnering with like Fujifilm or something? But like, how interesting would that be? Motorola has already partnered with Hasselblad to make a moto mod for a telephoto zoom on whichever Moto, I forget which Moto Z it was. Not Z, it was Moto X, whatever Moto X it was back in the day. They did that. Did it suck? Yes. But that's because, you know, we were just in the preliminary stages of having zoom lenses on cameras and trying to do zoom on phones. So now we do it. So it'd be nice to see a lot of these other manufacturers, especially smaller players, attempt to, especially for those that are like, oh, we don't really like the process, we don't really like the processing of how Motorola does it or whatever. It would be interesting to see this kind of thing. And personally, I'm for it. I don't really mind it. I think the more we do things like this, the more it'll push phone photography forward. And the more we do this, the less you will hear from, say, the dedicated camera camp. I'm saying photography is dead. Photography isn't dead just because the way people are taking photos is changing. You guys sound no different. You sound no different from when film cameras became less of the norm and they became a niche. And you were mad that digital cameras were taking over. And just because initially they were shit and digital cameras were trash, you're like, this will never take over. But then it took over. Because, as always, technology progresses, right? Technology is progressing. We have a 1-inch type sensor in the phone that's not cropped like in the Xperia Pro I, and that's made for mobile, for better or for worse, some would argue. And I still kind of want to get a Pro I to test that. But overall, this is something that I really do feel should be capitalized on. Like Huawei tried it with Leica before. They've done plenty of Leica partnerships in the past. That's why they had monochrome sensors on their phones for so long, right? Because Leica is known for monochrome as well as having expensive ass cameras. But Hasselblad partners with OnePlus/Oppo. And that's been and people have sat there and they're like, oh, what is this really going to do? When I got my OnePlus 9 and the first photo I took on that thing, I instantly loved. I was like, this is nice. This is really nice. Instead of these cameras trying to mimic how cameras look and sucking at it, maybe we should have it to where these camera companies and these phone companies partner together to make these things happen. Because for me personally, I'm not really into the auto mode thing, right? Obviously, I primarily shoot in auto mode, but I don't like horrendous auto mode processing, which is why I liked phones like the LG V60. I like phones like the 13 Ultra. I like phones like the Xperia 1 Mark III and Sony Xperia in general, because they don't hold your hand while skipping through a park and then slather on a whole bunch of HDR processing and a whole bunch of like pumped up colors just to make things look better for social media. When every time I've taken a photo with any phone that's not a Samsung phone or an iPhone, and I have plenty of people sit here and tell me they do not like how iPhones take pictures, especially when they come from cameras. And this is what I don't get. I don't get these camera people that sit here and say, oh, the iPhone's just the best. When other people that have cameras that I know say they don't like how inconsistent iPhone photos come out. Sometimes they'll be filled with color. Sometimes they'll be flat. Sometimes they'll look natural. Sometimes there'll be detail. Sometimes the details will be smeared. And that's just how cameras are on phones in general. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't have the occasional smeary shot on here. But I refocus and then I try to take the picture again. Boom, it's fine. This is something that I feel just needs to be it needs to be considered, especially for those that don't necessarily feel like they're going to up their processing game even more. Partnering with these companies, I feel, does a very good job, because it's not just the software processing on here that it does. Obviously, they partner when it comes to the lens design and all this other stuff as well. And to me, that's very nice. To me, that's nice. And then it gives you, portrait looks that are very akin to Leica lenses and all this other stuff. That's stuff that is cool. Those are things that are nice to me. And I feel like we need that on more phones. We need that kind of partnership with other manufacturers on more phones. I would like there to be a phone that you can take out there and you can take landscape shots with it, because it partnered with Nikon or Fuji or whatever, right? That would be very nice. But at the moment, you gotta hope that the HDR slathering that a phone does onto your photo is not gonna severely crush detail. And that's what I really like about this phone, is that I can sit here and put on filters. I can sit here and mess with the photographic look in the pro mode, and it won't destroy detail. All 50 megapixel photos. All 50 megapixel photos, not even in RAW. I don't even shoot in RAW. Yes, I'm a trog and I edit the JPEG, but it's something that is very nice. And I really do like it a lot. And I want more manufacturers to look at this stuff. I really wish LG didn't leave, because I really would have liked to have seen what if this were a thing, who they would have partnered with, Oh, God. But yeah, overall, that's all I really got to say for this. Let me know in the comment section below what you feel. This is Sparta. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday, whatever time of day it is in the area. Have a good one.